Hello, all you positive heads out there. It's so good to be back with all you beautiful reflections of the one source consciousness that creates and animates all things. If you're new to this podcast, of course, we are super happy to have you here, and we just ask that you bring an open mind and heart to your listening experience and to be prepared to explore vantage points that I'm convinced will help shift or solidify your current understanding of the ultimate nature of reality in a way that is extremely empowering. Speaking of exploring powerful perspectives, I would like to gift my book, The Golden Key, Modern Alchemy to Unlock Infinite Abundance to you at goldenkey.gift, where you can get the audio or ebook as my gift to you by using the code POSITIVEHEAD at checkout. All right, all you positive heads, welcome, welcome. Here we grow again. It is not a magical Monday. It is, it is a magical Monday when you're listening. It's a fabulous Friday as I record. And I'm recording this a few days early because I'm about to head into the dust in Black Rock City, Nevada for Burning Man 2022. First sanctioned burn in a few years with all the COVID madness. And so, yeah, very excited to be getting my things together and about to head back out. And I actually did go last year when they had a renegade burn, which was really, really great as well. Lots of people went. I mean, a lot of the art is missing, but from the experience, but the most important thing, the interpersonal relationships are there. So yeah, if any of you hearing this happen to be listening, maybe you're going, maybe it's, you haven't left yet. I'm going to be at 515 and H, camp called Switzerland. So swing through, say hi. But for today's episode, I want to talk a little bit about something that I talk about often, which is stories. And for me, there's been a bunch of story lately. You know, I've often said on the show, one of the only things I'm good at is making up good stories about myself. And like telling the story, I don't believe in getting sick. And most of my life, not to say I've never been sick, but very, very minimal amount of my life and experiences involved. You know, I've never been in a hospital, for example, and, just never really get colds and things like that. But it's just something that the biology of belief, right? I've given a lot of energy to positive stories that have served me well. And here's the thing, especially when you're a very creative being, you really have to be aware of is other more scary stories or negative stories or dark stories or these kinds of things. It's very easy. You see a lot of people even in the spiritual community really fall down the rabbit hole of like conspiracy and, bad things, evil aliens, whatever it is. We've all come across this sort of stuff. And I'm not trying to say there isn't dark things happening in the world, or that can happen to each of us, and that we can wish our way away from it. Like I said, I can't say I've never been sick, but for the most part, it has served me really, really well to say I don't believe in getting sick, and just kind of made that up at one point and just stuck with it. Right. So the reason I want to kind of go down this rabbit hole today is I've had, a couple reasons. My son, for one, has dealt with, he's been having a lot of stuff in the dream state. Like dreams of like spider energies, and seeing them, even perceiving things like this in his room. He feels he's seeing like sort of multidimensionally or astrally at times. And then it's like, okay, what story are you going to tell around that? How much power are you going to give to that? And it's something we've talked about at length lately. And for me, I had a dream a week or so ago, maybe a little more, where in the dream, this person kind of came to me and said, kind of prepared, you're going to lose yourself for a bit. And coming out of that dream, it felt, foreboding and dark. And, I've had some channeling messages that have come to me through friend that are similar, like you're going to have to face some real dark stuff kind of, in your journey. And how much am I giving to these stories? And one of the stories that I've started telling around this is, what if all of these things are coming to you, or in this case, me, or my son, I'm using as an example too, to see what you'll do with it. What if you choose to see it? I'm going to tell the story that this is coming to me to see if I'll take the bait, right? Will I go down the rabbit hole of, oh my gosh, what's one of the most scary things? When I hear that you're going to lose yourself for a bit, even my child's mother and having, severe mental health, like it almost like possession type thing, that's around. I mean, she's not my day-to-day life, but that's something that even with my son, that's a little bit of a fear. Like, oh my gosh, she's my mom, and look at how, completely gone she is, mentally. And he's as sound as any human could be. So I have no worries about that for him, but I could see how he could, for example, start telling a story and get into his head a fear about that. And what was interesting with this dream for me, I've always felt like really rock solid and untouchable, in a certain sense, as far as my, sanity, if you will. I like to think I'm the good kind of crazy. I have my madness, like we all do, but in a good way. I've always liked to think. And after that dream, at first, you're going to lose yourself for a bit. It was like, oh my gosh, is there a chance something similar? It's the only first time in my life I'd ever considered like that something similar could maybe happen to me, like my child's mother. It's like, or something horrific happening that's going to cause me to lose all hope and turn my back on what I believe in. And these, when I think of losing myself, right, it's like losing your mind, losing your belief, your foundation. And then, it kind of brings up fear. And it kind of, for the first time ever, I even, considered that for a moment. And then it was like, oh, hold on here, back up, put on the brakes. What if this is just a test for you to see if you'll take that bait? What if whatever dark forces are there, which by the way are only a tool for the light, right? It's like the story in the Bible of Satan tempting Jesus on the mountaintop or whatever. It's like an invitation to go a different path than your faith and your belief. And it's like, where it led me to is even a stronger resolve. It's like, I'm not telling the story. I'm going to lose myself because I had some dream, right? Like, or because someone, believes or felt that they're channeling information and shares something that's kind of intimidating, foreboding, dark. I'm not going to run from it. I'm going to trust the mystery. I'm going to, just like I talk about in the Golden Key, one of the keys, trust the mystery. If that's what's best for me, then I trust it, right? I don't believe it though. I'm not giving I'm not giving power to it, because based off of my perception of what's going on and where I'm at, it's like, that's not a story I'm going to start telling. And so I think it's really important to examine yourself and see what stories have you been sold that you have subscribed to that don't serve you. Sometimes it's at 6 years old, your aunt tells you, oh, you've got my same big nose. Oh, good luck with that. And then it's like, boom, it's like a landmine moment. And 20 years later, you can't look at yourself in the mirror because all you see is this big nose that you heard about in this key pivotal moment in your development. And now you have this warped vision of what your nose is or isn't, right? And so these kinds of things happen all the time, stories of all kinds, right? And so letting go of stories that don't serve, examining what story you've been exposed to that you've bought. I've got a new story for you. The new story is, what if all of the temptations, the carrots to invite you into a foreboding, less than ideal perspective, vision of yourself is only there to tempt you the way Jesus was tempted on the mountain, supposedly, right? And didn't take the bait. So if you already took the bait, that's okay. You can always decide to give it back. And so, like I said, I considered for a moment the first time, oh my gosh, what if I do lose myself? What would that be like, And then it's like, oh, you know what? I trust the mystery and I'm letting go of that story. I'm letting go of stories that don't serve. I'm going to get back to what I'm good at, telling stories that serve and align with my perspective of what is in my greatest and best timeline and potential. Right? And that certainly doesn't involve me losing my mind or something, right? Before we continue on with today's episode, I'd like to take a quick moment to tell you about our sponsor, Talkspace. When it comes to therapy, getting the help you need has never been so simple. Talkspace is like having a therapist in your pocket because you're able to access them from the comfort of your device via audio, video, or text 24/7. Talkspace is the #1 online therapy platform and has thousands of licensed therapists trained in over 40 specialties. I believe it is important, if you're struggling, to realize it's okay to seek therapy. And this is the simplest way I know of to do it. And it's for a fraction of the cost of in-house therapy. Once you join, you can speak with someone that same day. You'll set goals with your therapist and they hold you accountable and make sure you're really progressing. As a listener of this podcast, you'll get $100 off your first month with Talkspace. To match with a licensed therapist today, go to Talkspace.com. Make sure to use the code POSITIVE to get $100 off your first month and show your support for the show. That's positive at Talkspace.com. Focus on stories that do serve. And even with those, and then having a healthy sense of detachment. Like, hey, I may think this particular story, whatever story I'm telling, is the best one and serves me the best. And I'm open to the idea that I could be wrong and that there's totally a bigger picture and a bigger narrative that I don't understand why something temporarily might look really not good, but in the grand scheme of things is the best thing that could happen to me. So being, letting go of the stories that don't serve, focus on the stories that do serve, but then having a healthy sense of detachment around those stories that do serve. And doing like Swami Vivekananda said, be not afraid of anything. You will do marvelous work. It is fearlessness that brings heaven, even in a moment. I love that. Being fearless. I sometimes think about these things like, whoa, what if I get into some crazy situation at some point in my soul's journey that's really, frightening? Bring fearlessness. That brings heaven in. That invites source in. That brings God in. And being not afraid of anything because you are one with the source consciousness that creates and animates all things. And it's all happening for your good and growth, no matter how it looks in any given moment, right? The omelet you made for breakfast looks pretty funky for a moment when you're breaking eggs and beating things, right? And at the end, it looks pretty and tastes delicious, right? So that perspective, understanding that you just understand what the nature of reality is and what's going on and that it's happening. You trusting this mystery of your existence and not and viewing any stories that are offered up to you that don't serve you, that elicit fear and trepidation, and saying, you know what, that's an invitation, and I will go ahead and decline that. Thank you very much for testing my resolve on focusing on stories that serve. A sort of example of this is we actually have a roommate here at the Mystic Manor who is about to depart. They've been here 6 months. It's down to the last week or so of their stay. And like it's happened before, I mean, you guys over the years who've been listening have heard all the ups and downs and lefts and rights of the Mystic Manor and challenges and triumphs and everything in between. And we've certainly had more challenging, cycles. It's very calm, peaceful, for the most part. And when you have, 8, 9, 10 people all living together, things are bound to come up, right? It's inevitable. And what is it doing? It's happening for your good and growth, of course. And so there's been someone here who's about to leave in a week who, really especially with my partner, Karen, who sort of is the point person running the house. I make decisions with her, but as far as interacting with tenants or events or any of that, she's the person, right? And so this particular person has been really challenging for Karen, my partner, and over time has just, it's kind of gotten worse as times went on, just like lots of texts about what's wrong and what should be changed and what's different, even though it's, we have a certain set of agreements that we made, move with her moving in. It's like a lot of that's forgotten. And here's, just a lot of what from our perspective would be unreasonable, behavior, focusing on the negative, what's wrong, and very gossipy and that, all that sort of stuff. Also, this person has brought a lot of good. So not trying to just, say it's been a strictly negative experience. It hasn't, but definitely very challenging. Lots of, late night texts after too many glasses of wine, maybe about what should be and what's wrong, and quick to sort of agitation about, whatever they view as out of place. And so anyway, this person, I think, has a lot of story, especially around my partner, about, Karen not really fully seeing her or acknowledging her. And she's been really triggered because she'll complain about something. And Karen is like, I'm not even going to acknowledge that because, it's only going to make things worse, or I'm not going to jump because she said jump in this moment. I've got a life and I'm not just here as her punching bag to take out, her own issues. And so anyway, what Karen ended up doing that I really admire, she said, you know what, this person is leaving. They have a lot of story around what's wrong and how they've been wronged, and, Karen in particular, and how she hasn't really, been the friend or whatever to her. She said, so I'm going to throw a going away event for her, which is, by the way, what this person would do. That's one of the positives she brought to the place. She'd coordinate gatherings in the house that were great, and she'd do really thoughtful things like, baked me something on my birthday, and, just, could do some really, really thoughtful, sweet things that brought people together. And then this other side of the coin is divisiveness and gossip and, that sort of thing. So anyway, what Karen did is gather everyone and have a surprise going away party, and have everyone share what they appreciated about living with her. And she said it was very meaningful and she felt seen. And that was one of her complaints throughout, is not feeling seen or heard in her gripes, right? In the way she had wanted to be. And she said she felt seen and heard and appreciated. And I just thought it was a very great example of, how often in your life is someone, let's say you had a really kind of ever increasing nasty experience with a coworker or someone in your life, right? And then when it's time to sort of depart, it's kind of like good. Most people, me too, would be like, good riddance. I'm so glad they're gone and going to be out of my life. I'm going to just try not to tell them off. That'll be enough of a win. And I really respected Karen's approach of, I'm going to really use this as an opportunity to focus on the good. Even though she drove Karen crazy a lot of the time, most of the time, what did I like about her being here? And how can I show her that send her off with love and respect, and which, by the way, would disrupt any narrative that this person might have had in their own head about, how ugly Karen was, or, whatever. So anyway, that happened yesterday, and the going away, and I think it was just really beautiful and really positive, and everyone said a little something about what they appreciated about her and what she'd brought to the space, and it's such a high road to take. I can't say I'd ever went so far as to celebrate someone who annoyed me the way that Karen decided to. So I just want to share that. That's sort of, it's really in line with this focusing on stories that serve, right? She said, I could focus on all the things that went wrong, or I could end this relationship on a high note. just seeing her and focusing on what I know one of her gripes is she doesn't feel seen and heard. Let's make sure she feels seen and heard. And that's what we did. And so it's just like this great example of like wherever you go in life, make sure your main focus is that love grows. Love grows where you go, right? Focusing on stories that serve, making sure love grows where you go. What is the silver lining? And this is just a great real world example of how and when we can step into, a bigger version of ourselves. And I truly think Karen did that yesterday. And she invited me in to do, she invited the whole house, which, I think Karen and I had the most challenge with her. And I think others did here and there as well. But for the most part, invited everyone into their highest expression, right? And so, I felt like I really learned something from the example that she set there. And I think you can too, because it was beautiful. It was really lovely. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I hope you will too. And I do have a song to leave you guys with. This is Rising Appalachia. The song is called Sometimes I. Hope you enjoy. Until next time, and journey well. Also, before we cue up today's song, as a quick reminder, don't forget to download the Golden Key audio or ebook as my free gift to you at goldenkey.gift using the Golden Key code POSITIVEHEAD. And please, if you enjoy my gift, leave a positive review on Amazon so others can unlock their lives with the help of the Golden Key as well.
Sometimes I am far away from home. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sometimes I like the way I wander. Sometimes I like the way I roam. Sometimes I pace forward. I pace back, yeah, bending, breaking, tall grass shaking beneath your weight, yeah, yeah, yeah. Sometimes I get stuck in between my love of the jester baby, oh, my love for the queen. Sometimes I see your eyes across the roof, hey, fading narrow, bone shot arrow, harboring We have rubies between our teeth, between